We have told you about countless aviation stories and accidents which had occurred previously all around the globe, but all of them mostly happened either because of an unforeseen circumstance or because of the careless mistake of a pilot. But just imagine what would happen if a plane is flying at the altitude of 17,000 feet with pilot relaxing in the cockpit, but all of a sudden the windshield of the plane opens up and the pilot flies away in the open sky. It again seems like an imaginary incident, but this is all a true story, in which an accident was avoided just because of an instant assistance. In this video, we are going to tell you about how the reflexes of a co-pilot saved hundreds of innocent lives. So without wasting any time, let's get started. It was the 10th of June 1990. A BAC 111 Series 528 FL aircraft called the County of South Glamorgan took off at 7:20 local time as per its schedule from Birmingham Airport in England to Málaga Airport of Spain. It had a total of 81 passengers, 4 cabin crew and 2 flight crew there for customer service. The captain of the well-known Flight 5320 that day was 42-year-old Tim Lancaster, who had logged 11,050 flight hours of experience, and co-piloted by 39-year-old Alastair Atchison, who had gained 7,500 flight hours of experience at that time. The flight had a routine takeoff, and it was nothing new for the pilot for operating such a craft. Co-pilot Atchison handled the ropes of the takeoff, relinquishing control to Lancaster as the plane established itself in its climb. As is the case in normal circumstances, both pilots subsequently released their shoulder harnesses. Captain Lancaster loosened his lap belt as well, and the flight got steady. They both were so used to flying such aircrafts that it was child's play for them, and so they were all confident upon the route and their skills after the plane stabilized in midair. At 7:33, about 13 minutes after the takeoff, the plane had reached about 17,300 feet or 5,300 meters above sea level. At 7:35, the plane was flying over Didcot, Oxfordshire, and the cabin crew were busy preparing for meal service. It was 7:40 and the meals were about to be served. Flight attendant Nigel Ogden was entering the cockpit when there was a loud bang, and the fuselage, or the main body which holds the crew and passengers, quickly filled with condensation. Everyone was stunned to realize anything, and as soon as they came back to their senses, they saw that the left windscreen from the captain's side broke open, and the rapid decompression propelled Captain Lancaster out of the cockpit head first. Mercifully, the captain's knees got stuck at the flight controls, due to which his legs were inside the cockpit, while his whole upper body swung out of the plane in the pressureful sky. Lancaster was completely lucky at that point because if his knee didn't get stuck in the cockpit, then he might have escaped the plane unknowingly and would have fallen to a mysterious place. God knows where. The flight deck door blocked the throttle control, due to which the aircraft continued gaining speed during descent. While in the middle of all this chaos, flight attendant Nigel Ogden noticed Lancaster's situation and quickly held the captain's belt and pulled him forcefully. Another attendant, Susan Price, handled the passengers and briefed them on emergency positions, as no one knew at that moment what had caused the bang to occur. Meanwhile, co-pilot Atchison realized that the plane wasn't equipped to provide oxygen for all the people on board, so he began a rapid emergency descent to reach an altitude with oxygen. He re-engaged the autopilot, which had become temporarily disabled, and broadcast a distress call to the nearby air traffic control. However, he faced great difficulty in communicating with the air traffic control due to the rush of air on the flight deck, but somehow he did succeed in doing so. Ogden, still holding on to Lancaster, was by now developing frostbite and exhaustion, so purser John Heward and air steward Simon Rogers took over the task of holding on to the captain. By this time, Lancaster had shifted several centimeters farther outside, and his head was repeatedly striking the side of the fuselage. The crew believed him to be dead, but Atchison told the others to continue holding onto him, out of fear that letting go of him might cause him to strike the left wing, engine, or horizontal stabilizer, potentially damaging it and crashing the plane. Meanwhile, Atchison established connection with the ATC and somehow convinced them to land at the Southampton Airport. At 7:55, after about half an hour of struggle, the plane landed at the Southampton Airport and the passengers disembarked using boarding steps. Lancaster survived with frostbite, bruising, shock, and fractures to his right arm, left thumb, and right wrist. On the other hand, Ogden dislocated his shoulder and had frostbite on his face with damage to one eye. Luckily, there were no other major injuries, and Lancaster and Ogden also recovered after staying for a few weeks at the hospital. Now the question was how such an unimaginable thing happened, and the answer was surprising for everyone. 27 hours before the flight took off, the plane was sent for servicing purposes, and surprisingly, the employees working there used some undersized bolts to fix the windshield, which was extremely dangerous keeping in mind that the plane was going to fly at a huge pressure. As expected, when the flight took off, the undersized bolts were unable to withstand the air pressure difference between the cabin and the outside atmosphere during flight, and the windshield opened up intensely, injuring the captain and Ogden. After finding out the mistake, no one was sent to jail or was punished, but just imagine what would have happened if Lancaster's knee didn't act as a lifesaver, and if he collided with the engine of the plane. That moment might not have only killed him, but would have also led to the unforgiven accident taking the lives of more than 80 innocent people. Well, what are your thoughts on the investigation results and its after effects and culprits? Let me know in the comments down below.